Congress on Monday approved an $892 billion coronavirus aid package, throwing a lifeline to the nation's pandemic-battered economy after months of inaction, while also keeping the federal government funded.
However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID Relief Bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment.
Still in the United States, President-elect Joe Biden has promised on to push for another economic stimulus that will include checks to ordinary Americans in early 2021. At a wide-ranging end-of-year news conference, Biden also warned that the darkest days of the coronavirus pandemic still lie ahead, and he slammed the Trump administration for what he said was its failures to prevent a recent cyber attack officials have attributed to Russia. Biden praised the bipartisan effort that led to a $900 billion relief package being passed by Congress this week, but said that the government will still have to do more.
This attack constitutes a grave risk to our national security. It was carefully planned and carefully orchestrated. It was carried out by using sophisticated cyber tools. The attackers succeeded in catching the federal government off guard and unprepared. Foreign actors have been working this breach since late last year, at least last year. The truth is this: the Trump administration failed to prioritize cybersecurity. It did that from eliminating or downgrading cyber coordinators in both the White House and at the State Department, to firing the director of Cyberspace and Infrastructure Security Agency, to President Trump's irrational downplaying of the seriousness of this attack. Enough's enough.
Now in business news, the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodimma, has signed the 2021 budget of 346.2 billion naira into law. Uzodimma said the budget of wealth creation was a realistic thinking of what will drive Imo State into the next level if fully implemented. According to him, the budget will address unemployment, provide infrastructure, provide counterpart funding to the state's global partners, and bridge the gaps that are in its local economy and other economies. The Minister of Power, Salim Aman, says Nigerians are assured of a robust and reliable power supply as the country witnessed its highest energy of over 115,000 megawatts and attained a generation of over 5,520 megawatts for the first time in the history of Nigeria. The minister stated this while on an on-the-spot assessment tour of the National Control Center at the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Oshogbo, the Osun State capital.
For the first time, we have generated the highest energy in this country, over 115,000 megawatt hour, and we have also attained a generation of 5,520 megawatts, which is the first in the history of this country. Assure Nigerians that we will give them a robust, sustainable, and also a reliable power supply.
NCC has a quite number of issues and challenges to contend with in its day-to-day operations. Since the operations sector provides services to all users of the grid, namely generation, transmission, and distribution sectors, the major challenges that confront it is invariably related to the challenges faced by these sectors.
For business news now, we move to some entertainment stories. Nigerian singer Mr. Easy's laptop and phones have been stolen. and he is calling on his celebrity friends, the likes of Sarkodie, Stonebwoy and Shatta Wale, to help investigate the matter. The Pour Me Water singer, in a post on Twitter on Tuesday, said the gadget was stolen while in Accra, Ghana. He also promised a handsome reward to anyone who can find and return the gadgets to him. Easy went on to say that if the items are returned, he can pay 3 times their worth if they were to be sold. Now in sports, FC Barcelona turned on the style to trash Real Valladolid 3-0 away in La Liga on Tuesday, as Lionel Messi scored his 644th goal to surpass Pelé as the all-time record scorer for a single club. Messi finally got his first assist of the season when he picked out defender Clement Lenglet with a splendid cross, and the Frenchman rose to head FC Barcelona in front after 21 minutes. Record-breaking Messi capped a brilliant individual and team display with a splendid goal of his own midway through the second half. And Tokyo Olympic officials have announced a new creative team that will be responsible for redesigning the opening and closing ceremonies of next year's Games, which will be, of course, powered back due to the COVID-19 safeguards. The new creative team will be headed by Hiroshi Sasaki, who was one of the 7 directors previously responsible for the opening and closing events. The Games, originally scheduled to start this summer, were postponed by a year due to the coronavirus pandemic, which has severely disrupted the international sporting calendar. Since then, organizers and government officials have been looking at ways to cut costs, simplify the Games, and safeguard athletes and spectators. Still, there has been lingering doubt about the viability of holding a large-scale global event as the pandemic continues to rage. And that's the news at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa, and thank you for
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Na 2,500 they pay.
Hello and welcome to another episode of One-on-One. Our guest today is Babatunde Raji Fashola, popularly referred to as BRF. He is a senior advocate of Nigeria and is currently the Minister of Works and Housing. He served 2 terms as Governor of Lagos State from May 29, 2007 to May 29, 2015. Fashola succeeded Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was appointed by President Muhammadu Buhari to be the Minister of Power, Works and Housing. He was reappointed Minister of Works and Housing on the 21st of August 2019. He attended Beth Freeman High School, Lagos and Igbobi College, Lagos. He studied law at the University of Benin, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Laws degree in 1987. He is married to Mrs. Abimbola Fashola and they have 2 children. Your Honorable Minister, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome to One-on-One. This is Plots TV Africa, and we have the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola. Welcome again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's get straight to the business. The COVID-19 pandemic seems to have taken an effect on the second quarter of 2020 GDP of the country. And what is the current administration doing to avert the reoccurrence of a recession? And what is the part of the phased return to construction site expected to play at this time?
Okay, so this is the time that the whole world essentially is experiencing a slowdown in productivity. So when we are talking of GDP, people must understand what it really means. It is the aggregate of the productivity of a nation measured as its gross domestic productivity. So if there is a disease of epidemic proportions and people were asked to stay at home in order that they should stay alive, logic must tell anybody that at that period there was likely to be a reduction, if not a total stoppage in productivity. And the government of Nigeria, like many other governments, predicted that there would be GDP decline. We also predicted that there would be something in the order of 7.24%, but it has turned out to be less than we predicted, which is, in a sense, something to be assured about. These people know what they are doing. We then set about to design and implement an economic sustainability plan that was cross-cutting, supporting agriculture, supporting construction, supporting small businesses. And as soon as it was safe to start the ease of the lockdown, we began to deploy and implement this policy. So there's nothing really to panic about. We foresaw, if we were doctors, so to speak, we diagnosed the problem ahead of time, and we're already administering the treatment. And the patient, if you permit me to use that word, will recover sooner rather than later. So when you have 774,000 jobs, it was part of those measures to reach the most vulnerable. We don't even have work. Go and do some work for 3 months and earn some cash. When you hear about a survival fund launched by government, it was to support SMEs. When you hear about payroll support, funding for agri, you hear about construction using more brick, using more cement to employ people to create jobs. These are so many measures. You hear the government through the central bank asking the commercial bank to suspend the payment of loans, the calling of loans, and to renew the tenure of loans so that people can catch their breath. These are all of the measures put in place. And people should pay attention to these measures and see how they can benefit